Good morning. Welcome back to our international plant breeding seminar series. Trying to set up presentation mode. Thank you so much for joining us again. Apologize for any maybe technical issues or things not flowing as fluent as in previous series, but we are starting a new series. This is the 9th series. That means that we have gone through a lot of presentations and seminars. We have an excellent roster for this series, and it will run from March 20th to April today to April 24th. And you have already seen the list of speakers. It's a great list of speakers. And I hope you can join us in all these presentations. We meet always at this time on Thursday. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Juliana Cheboi. Juliana, as you can see from the picture in this slide, she visited us in October, and we sort of feel very familiar with her. It's sort of, for her, I would say it's a comeback to NC State in a remote way, but Juliana is a professor in the crop science, plant science and crop protection at the University of Nairobi in Kenya, where she teaches and conducts research, mainly in plant breeding, and she teaches agricultural related courses. She's a member of the Kenyan Plant Breeders Association, and she has a keen interest in developing germplasm and varieties that are resistant to biotic and abiotic stresses, and also working alongside small farmers in Kenya and Sub-Saharan Africa. She holds a PhD, a Master's of Science, and a Bachelor, all of them from the University of Eldoret in northwest Kenya. Coincidentally, Gladys, who is a student in my program, she's also a graduate from Eldoret. So it's great to have people coming from that university, okay? Juliana has collaborated in several projects, and it's a pleasure to have you here, Juliana. I'm gonna stop sharing and give you the floor. Yes, go ahead. Start sharing.
Thank you, Professor Carlos, for that nice introduction. And it's my privilege that today I'm back virtually sharing experiences in Kenya. And I would want to appreciate the
Okay.
NC University for this
You are
opportunity.
set to go now. Your screen is showing very nicely, and your sound is good. Okay, I'll let you talk.
So thank you. I'm going to take you through the experiences in Kenya on how we can contribute towards solving societal issues using our breeding techniques or tools. And one of the ways is that how can we utilize the crops that we've bred so that it can create impact in the society. So 82% of Kenyan lands is classified as ASAL and arid and semi-arid lands. And this is whereby most of our smallholder farmers are living. And having that background information, the ASAL environment, this is whereby there are issues of rainfall, higher temperatures, and therefore most of the crops may not survive in this particular environment. And having in mind with the effects of climate change, issues like food, animal feed, and nutrition insecurity are quite high. And for several years, scientists, the government, non-governmental organizations have been looking for solutions on how they can help the smallholder farmers who find themselves by default inhabiting these areas of ASAL environment. And we thought that one of the ways is to develop and utilize some of the climate smart crops that we are going to see through them. There are a number of the climate smart crops, but which one are priority in this particular area so that the farmers are able to get food, they're able to solve issues on nutrition, and either get some income so that they're able to improve their livelihoods. So one of the solutions that we thought about is developing and utilizing pigeon pea and orange flesh sweet potato. What made us to decide on these particular crops is I'm a pigeon pea plant breeder by profession, just the way our professor has introduced. And having this particular pigeon pea crop, it is one of the drought tolerant crop. So we are just promoting the pigeon pea, we are promoting the improved nutrition in terms of protein and some potential phytochemicals, more so the antioxidants, the phenols, the flavonoids, and minerals that can help us solve issues of mineral or nutritional malnutrition, whereby key nutritional components are required for the potentiality of our bodies. And these pigeon peas, the ones that we are dealing with are early maturing, meaning that the farmer is able to get food at early times, and they can be utilized both as when they are still green, so you can utilize the vegetable part of it. As you can see from this photo, we have the green and we have the dry grains. So we can utilize them, and they are high yielding. That is a key component that the farmer requires. It's able to fix nitrogen to the soil, about 40 kilograms per hectare per season. And the leaves and the pods are utilized as animal feed.
Juliana, are you still with us? Sorry.
Then it is highly nutritious. Basically,
Can you
has
repeat the last
it is a
minute or
cover
so?
crop.
Juliana, can you repeat the last
Am I
minute or so?
frozen?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you were frozen for just a brief time. So I think when you started talking about sweet potato, you got frozen. So if you can repeat, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I said for diversity of diet in the households, we thought of also developing and promoting orange flesh sweet potatoes. And why we chose sweet potatoes, basically because it's one of the drought tolerant crop. It is highly nutritious in terms of vitamin A. It has high levels of beta carotene, which is one of the precursors of vitamin A. And it can be cropped with pigeon pea. We thought instead of the farmer just having a sole crop within the same field, they can still do intercropping with these sweet potatoes, and they're able to diversify their diet and their crop system. So with the utilization of these sweet potatoes, especially the value addition technique, we thought that this generation, the young generation, especially the youth, the interest is not on this particular food, but what else can they gain out of this? So introducing a technology on value addition basically has enticed the youth to accept and adopt these sweet potatoes. And we also thought that, especially the children, they don't like consuming sweet potatoes. They like the junk food, and we had an idea that introducing the value addition for them to make diverse products out of this, they'll be able to consume. And the fines are utilized as animal feed. Then, after developing the pigeon pea and the sweet potatoes, now we thought that as you can see from what I was describing, that the fines are utilized as animal feed, the pods, and also the leaves from the pigeon pea, we thought that it's going into a waste. So how can the farmer utilize this so that they can have all food round the year within the homestead, and they can diversify their diet and their food within the household? So we promoted the adoption of dairy goats so that whatever materials are remaining from the crops, they are able to feed to the animals. And why we promoted dairy goats, basically because they are able to occupy a small space, they feed less. As from my introduction, I was able to say that with the issues of climate change, issues on feed is a big problem in these hassle areas. So for these dairy goats, they're able to feed less. So, and they are able to, they have a prolific nature where they can hire twins, triplets. So it's a win to the farmer because they're able to get high returns. They can sell the milk, they can sell the meat, or they can even sell part of the stock. And they are found in diverse breeds. We have diverse breeds in Kenya that are resilient to drought. So the approach for this model is basically to employ the breeding techniques, the protocol. And before that, we had to do a survey to understand what are the priority crops that the farmers need so that we can promote those particular crops. Then we had to do screening and selection, whereby we screened for adaptability, yield performance, pest and disease resistance, drought tolerance, and we did participatory variety selection with the farmers so that we are able to select the best performing varieties. Then we also had to do product profiling and analysis, where we did analysis on genetic diversity to understand the genetic base of the germplasm that we were working on. Then we also did biochemical analysis. More so, one of the insect pests that was affecting the pigeon pea is pod borer. So we had to see some of them that were tolerant. What is it that they have? And then the nutritional profiling to look at the level of proteins, the mineral, phytochemicals, antioxidants, so that it gives us an opportunity to select the ones which are having the product profiling traits. And cooking time, which is a very key parameter for these crops, the pigeon pea and the sweet potato, because this is what the farmers are looking for, something that can cook fast. And the organoleptic tests, whereby we're able to look at the texture, the taste, the color, so that we do the selection. Then after all this, we trained the farmers and the extension officers. We collaborated with the county government so that we are able to identify the farmers whom we can now offer the service to create impact based on, after getting the feedback from the survey, what is their interest. So we train them on agronomic practices, post-harvest losses handling and management, value addition techniques where we developed recipes. We had to organize field days so that we are able to showcase what we've done, and we train the model farmers who are able to be the trainers of the trainers. And then out of all this, we had to make publications and the dissemination through media. This is to reach a higher number of the farmers. The aspect of the value addition, whereby we wanted to promote more consumption, utilization, creating employment to the youth. As I said, we developed standard recipe manual, which was also published, and several other products were developed. You can see one of the products being yogurt, whereby we use the milk from the dairy goat, and we had sweet potato as one of the additive instead of using starch. We were also able to make chapati, what we call chapati and mandasi. That is a combination of the quantity is very small for wheat, and sweet potato. Then samosas, where we use the sweet potatoes, combination of sweet potato, pigeon pea, and wheat, and crisps and chips. And this one was the young generation were able to really enjoy this kind of products. After all this work, we managed to train 2,500 farmers, 60 extension officers on agricultural practices. We were also able to identify 450 model farmers who are key so that for sustainability of these technologies within the community, we managed to train the 450 model farmers who act as our TOTs. We also managed to train 300 small and medium enterprises who are able to take up the value addition technique. And through these interactions with the community, the county government, we were able to learn from one another, look at the cultural norms that affect the adoption of some of these crops, gender disparity, what the women like, what the men like, and women empowerment was key, whereby the women were able to participate and they were able to access, control, and make decisions even within their households. Development of business startups that are now continuing to sustain this kind of technology. We have a number of startups that the youth and the women have begun, and we've managed to publicize this work. We developed 8 journal articles, 3 policy briefs, and we were able to organize 6 field days. We also published 2 blogs, and all this information is found in my Google Scholar. If you just click Juliana Cheboi with the pigeon pea sweet potatoes, you are able to see the number of work that we've done. These are some of the evidence, the success stories that were made out of this work, that before the dairy goat farming wasn't, it was not at higher level, but after coming up with this model of integration farming, whereby we're promoting the improved pigeon pea, improved sweet potatoes, and now integrating with the dairy goats, the county government took it up and they were able to distribute the dairy goats to their farmers. As you can see from these photos, the farmers are able to receive the dairy goats, and more other cohorts, other group farmers benefited from this, as you can see from the stories. And this was also captured in the media, our local radio media, that it was with that interest by the farmers and the county government, then the media had an interest to capture this information so that they can disseminate it further. After all this, we are able to get to learn that promoting these climate smart crops is very key in sustainable food system in Kenya, and addressing challenges requires collaborative efforts, innovative solutions, and inclusive approaches. And that's why, as I said from my presentation, that we were able to engage with the county government and the farmers organizations and promoting this improved varieties of crops, diverse crops. And therefore, there is need of engaging in research partnership and collaborations and promoting value addition techniques so that the youth are able to engage in agriculture, then strengthening farmer cooperatives so that they are able to negotiate for better market access and integration of these crops in the school feeding programs so that the young children are able to consume these particular crops at early age so that they are able to get used to and the nutrition security will be improved. Thank you.
Okay, let me, if you want to stop sharing, Juliana. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the sort of system breathing approach that you follow. And I have visited a couple of times Kenya, and I'm almost to the point of being, I mean, the amount of vegetables that are grown, the amount of the focus of the research of different institutions in food production, it's amazing. Okay, so really, really appreciate your what you're doing. I just want to ask a question before we go to the questions in the chat. Is a pigeon pea a perennial crop, or I don't know, if it's out of my ignorance?
Thank you, Prof. We have three types of pigeon pea. Some of them are annual, and we have one which is perennial. That is the long duration that you can continue harvesting for some time. It undergoes returnability. Then we have the short duration and the medium duration. Those are annual crops.
And what is the extent of cultivation of pigeon pea in Kenya at the moment? I mean, is it a pretty extensively cultivated crop, or is it a new and emerging crop?
In some of the parts of the country, it's an emerging crop. It is actually one of the orphan crops, which is mostly utilized in the coastal regions of Kenya and in some of the counties, that is Machakos and Makueni County. But because of the issues of climate change, now we've done introduction into other counties which have the same agroecological zones as those areas.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I understand that you work alongside the Vision for Adapted Crops and Soils. Is that correct? Which is one of the
Yes.
major initiatives that has been launched in Africa since last year, I believe. Questions from the chat. What is the best way you have to screen for drought tolerance or resistance?
We had to do field experiments where we had the irrigated and rain-fed. And then after that, we had to confirm through greenhouse experiments where we subjected them to water fill capacity, different water fill capacities, 0, 40%, 60%, 80%, and 100%. Then, so that we are able to confirm that the ones that are drought tolerant in their field, they are also drought tolerant because you are using controlled environment in the greenhouse.
Yep. Also, Paul is asking how easy it is to cross either pigeon peas or sweet potatoes in your case.
It's not easy to cross pigeon pea basically because, of course, they are self-pollinated, but because of the cross-pollination, around 30% of it is cross-pollinated. Therefore, you need to control it, do it in a greenhouse so that you don't get mixtures. It is not easy to work with pigeon pea, but at least we've managed to get three varieties that have the based on the product profiling, they are yielding drought tolerant and they are nutritious. And we began with a large number, around 255. We were able to scale them down to 155, and then we got three.
Okay. And in the case of sweet potato, do you have to graft to induce flowering, or they naturally flower?
For this, we had to work with Caldro. So my main work was after they're developing the sweet potato, then I know you know Dr. Givova. Then we utilize that to my main intention was now that they have developed the sweet potato, can we do the intercropping with the sweet potato, and how can we utilize the value addition more so to promote the nutritional content on beta carotene or the vitamin A because of that micronutrient malnutrition, which is very key healthy issue in Kenya.
Let me ask for Paul question in case of sweet potatoes. At least here in North Carolina, we use grafting into morning glory species, and the rootstock produces the hormones that will induce flowering on the grafted stalks. Okay. continue with questions. What are the challenges faced with introducing the climate smart crops to the smallholder farmers? And how has been the adoption rate?
As I said, we had to do a survey to understand what is the priority crops for the farmers. So with these climate smart crops, the farmers were able to take them up, but some of them, based on the cultural norms, you realize that the women, remember, women are the basic people to make decisions on what to be eaten in the family. But now, as they go grow them in the field, they don't have that capacity to make the decision. So one of the challenge has been who is being trained. Women are the ones who are normally the people who are providing the labor, and they are supposed to be trained. So one of the challenge that we face is if it's something that you are engaging or involving money, monetary value, you'll realize the men are the ones who are attending, and they are not the ones who are going to apply it or implement in the field because they are not available to provide the labor. So one of the issue is some of the cultural norms and also gender issues when you are making decisions on which variety can we select. You realize that some women can be supporting one of the varieties and the men don't support, basically maybe because women are very sensitive to color, the taste. If I can give an example, one of the pigeon pea variety that it wasn't cooking well, but high yielding and the weight is very good. So the men were interested because they are after money. But the women, because the interest is about the cooking, it is taking too long. So those are some of the issues, and of course, financial constraints. You realize that after taking that project, when the project is done, so if you don't engage key stakeholders, that means that project is not going to be sustainable. So, and that is why we're able to map our stakeholders and see who are the key stakeholders and what are they contributing. So after engaging the county government, that's why you're able to see those success stories, basically because we were able to identify our stakeholders and see the need that the farmers need.
So, Juliana, who finances your work or the work for your team?
We had the Feed the Future project, USAID, that is before this year. The project ended actually last year. We had from the county government who were able to provide the dairy records. Then we had the USAID through the Calro initiative project that was supporting this promotion.
Another
And
question that we have.
sorry,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
forgot. We also have a partnership with the FSNet Africa, who are able to support.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Have you or your group done any molecular work, particularly in the case of selecting for drought tolerance?
Yeah, we did the molecular work that we did was basically on the genetic diversity. But for the drought tolerance, that is the next gap that we would want to fill to see what are the genes that is corresponding to this drought tolerance. We've done the field and the greenhouse. So the next step that we are planning to do is basically to do the molecular work on the drought tolerance. And that is what I would want to do with the FACS project that you mentioned.
Okay. We have another question here from Paul. Is flesh color a good indicator of the nutritional value of sweet potatoes?
Pardon?
Is flesh color a good indicator of the nutritional value?
Yes. The orange color is one of the indicators that we use to do the profiling.
Yeah, my experience working with yellow cassava is that you can do very early screening and get rid of or select very intense yellow cassava, but then within those yellow genotypes, you still have quite a bit of diversity to select from. So I think sweet potatoes somehow is the same. There's a qualitative difference between the deep orange and the whites or light yellow. But then within the deep oranges, you have quite a bit of diversity. We have another question here. What's your main source of genetic variability in both crops, pigeon peas and sweet potatoes?
Environment is the key, one of the key
No,
factor that's
the source of genetic resources, which are your diversity that you select from. Where does it come from? I mean, I don't know pigeon peas if is it originally from Africa? I have no idea.
the people who grow mostly are the Indians. So I was using a CGR material
Yeah,
that
yeah.
were at advanced level, basically for yield. Then my work it was to look at the resistance to diseases, do the nutritional profiling, and also look at the genetic diversity. So some of them were land races that we were also testing to see. But for the insect pest resistant, we also used wild relatives as our check.
Okay. Uh, okay, there's a question here. Did you carry out a community survey on the products? What was the people perspective on the dairy? Fortunately, I have something. Potatoes instead of milk plus starch. Let me see. I see. Oh, the what was people perspective on the dairy milk plus potatoes instead of milk plus starch? I don't really understand the question, but what some of the major outcomes from the surveys and in relation to the dairy products here.
I want to maybe basic. I hope I got the question right. I think he's trying to say what is the perception using the dairy milk and the normal starch when you are making yogurt, and now using the sweet potatoes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when we did the organoleptic, the sensory test, the the way we cook the sweet potato and you blend it so that you mix with the goat milk, it was more strong using the sweet potato than the normal starch. And because our interest was basically, we are like enticing the people to consume the yogurt, especially the young children, they like yogurt, or even the youth. So within utilizing that or consuming that yogurt with the sweet potato, they're able to consume the nutrients. So the perception was good.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Well, I have one more question from my side, which uh, is there any consumption of the pigeon pea leaves as a leafy vegetable or not? Because I mean, I understand cowpea leaves are consumed in Kenya. You guys consume a wide range of leafy greens, and I was wondering if pigeon peas are could be within that range.
The pigeon pea leaves, most they are not consumed. We use the grains, the green grains, to consume as vegetable.
Okay.
Basically, because of the high levels of the secondary metabolites, they are somehow bitter, and we don't consume it.
All right. One more question that arrived is, do you work with graduate students in your work, either master's or PhD?
Yes, I worked with two MSc students, one doing socioeconomics to do the survey, and then one of the students looking at the drought tolerance. Three actually, and then another one nutritional to look at the nutritional component. We had three MSc students.
Mhm. Is any effect on the nutritional quality after the value addition processes that you investigated, both for the pigeon peas or sweet potato? Do you lose some, for example, some of the vitamin A, the provitamin A's, is it lost? Uh, what is the effect of the value addition on nutritional quality?
So there wasn't much significant variation, but for the sweet potato, because of the boiling, some of the nutrients were lost, but not quite significant. So for the pigeon pea, after the boiling and what we did for pigeon pea actually is to use in the samosa, whereby we put inside the wheat together with the sweet potatoes. So we didn't do the research to see after that, is there any loss of the protein content? Is that the question?
That's the question. Yeah, protein or vitamins. Yeah, yeah. That is the question. Yeah. All right.
So
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
now I was trying to say for the vitamins, that is what was done to see that after that boiling, because we had different cooking methods, to see which one you are able to conserve the nutrients. But the loss was quite minimal. It wasn't much significant difference. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Juliana. Let me share my screen here. Thank you so much for volunteering, for presenting, and for being the first one in this series. It was great to have people speaking from quite a different reality from what we have here or other parts of the world. We thank you people from attending from different parts of the world. It's great to have a broad range of audience. Next week, we'll have Dr. Paula Silva from Instituto Nacional de Investigaciones Agrícolas in Uruguay, talking about pre-breeding in action for both wheat and barley. Same time at 11 a.m. Eastern time on March 27. I look forward to have you guys here back. And in the meantime, have a great weekend and thank you so much for attending. Okay. Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Have a